I decided to go with this slightly clickbaity headline, but come on, this is 2024, the year of clickbait. This is what it was supposed to look like in the first place. Um, I'm not going to teach writing the way I used to. That is the notion I'm going with today. And there are a lot of reasons for that, partly because, the modern times demand quite a lot from us as teachers, and also partly because just after doing the course, it's impossible to go to the old ways of doing things. And I'm going to show you how. So just a little bit of background so that you understand what's going on and maybe you can relate to that a bit more. I've been teaching adults for quite a while, and apart from that, I also consult and support teachers in our community called Focus Study. As a teacher, I've been sticking with communicative approach mostly, including some bits and pieces of PPP and TBL and DogMe. But that said, I always had trouble with writing because it was taught as a residue in my case. And I didn't really like this situation. I mean, I knew the guidelines, I knew the principles behind it, but I felt like something was lacking. And so before the course, let me just give you this overview of the situation. So again, maybe you can find it relatable. See if you can do that. First of all, as a teacher, I kept sending mixed messages about writing because on the one hand, we say, oh, it is important. It is one of the 4 vital skills, right? But on the other hand, I kept giving it as homework assignment. And if you compare to the rest of the skills, speaking was getting most of the attention, not writing. So it kind of causes questions. Apart from that, I had to grapple with that thought about wasting students' time because writing is such a high stakes activity. It takes a lot of time and effort, and it's just adults are already busy without me necessarily giving them this task, and so I felt a little bit ashamed. As a teacher, I was grading their final product. As a rule, they would just hand me in their written text or something that they typed, a Word document, and I would leave my notes. But at no point in time did I feedback on their draft, as we're going to learn later on, and that would be confirmed during the course. Spoiler alert, giving feedback on the draft is more useful, apparently. That is so true. All of that led to the students' procrastination because they knew the challenge ahead of them and they were reluctant to get started. Besides, some of them had a fear of the blank page, so well known to a lot of us, and coping with that was pretty difficult. So essays are quite intimidating. Now, as a student, the last formal training that I got in writing was back at the university, which was a creative writing course. It was fantastic, nothing to say about that. But after that, again, without any formal training, I felt like it is so hard to come up with a certain principle, a certain algorithm that I could share with my students. So that is why I was so excited when the session in our Teaching Adults course came up. And I was visibly excited. Maureen saw that about the writing session. Okay, so if all of the above sounds relatable, I'm glad to share that there is a way out, and I'm going to mention 2 main points that I received from the course. So the first one had to do with product versus process opposition, and the other one is about skills and sub-skills. If you think about a regular lesson plan on writing, usually there is some kind of a model presented, right? Then there is some controlled practice and gets a little bit freer. And then the students are supposed to produce some final product, either in class or at home, which gets graded later on. However, what if we took a step back from that and thought of writing as a process where you start getting those ideas at first, and then you evaluate them. You edit mercilessly, you draft it, then again you evaluate, and this is a never-ending cycle, right? And this is a very logical assumption, because that's how the greatest writers created, and the students are no worse than that. Now, to go back to subskills versus skills, right? Usually, when we say skills, we think handwriting, spelling, punctuation, all of the above. But what if drafting is equally important? What if being able to polish your work is also very, very crucial? What if brainstorming is a must? So yeah. And I found this very diagram really useful, because when we compare students to real writers, that is a very, very inspiring for them. And if writers are going through this very ups and downs, well, the students can do the same, and that is not a problem. The second thing is that it's not only about essays. Well, that is true that the need for the longer written work has lessened over the years, but if we think of that, we still keep producing tons of texts, and they vary in their complexity, in grammar, in their layouts, anything from shopping lists to diaries to messages to comments, you name it. And studying all these things, like how to order the information, how to pick a necessary degree of formality, is a set of subskills that can and should be taught. So the question is how to get started on that magical process writing. I thought of 5 practices which I'm willing to share. And the first one is writing as a warm-up. Normally, when we start a class, we start with this little chit chat on how are you? What have you been up to? How was your weekend? Or probably it's some revision. But what if, again, we just stopped for a second, and instead of catering again to this speaking skill, we just gave them an opportunity to slow down and present them with a random topic, an example you can see on the slide, and just give them 5 minutes of uninterrupted writing time. The result doesn't even have to be presented. It doesn't have to be posted. They can keep it to themselves, but especially if they do it this old school style, pen to paper, that kind of activates all the neurons, helps them deal with with the writer's block, at least. Again, they may tell you, well, thank you so much for this task, but I have no idea what to write about. I have 0 thoughts. I have 0 ideas. I don't know how to get started. Oh my God, they start panicking. A technique that can help to overcome this is fast writing. So the idea is that you set the timer, you put your pen to paper, and you don't stop writing until the timer clicks, or whatever sound that it does, beeps, I think. You can write literally whatever you want. It can be a bunch of gibberish, some sounds. You can even write the phrase, I don't know what to write about. The thing is that, again, it helps your brain get started in the very process. You probably noticed that effect on yourself whenever it's hard to get started on a certain task, but then you start doing it, and then you're basically unstoppable. That happens when I prepare for classes sometimes, and yeah, it proved to be a useful technique. Tip number 3, one of the problems with essays usually is that it's like writing in a vacuum. So basically you produce a text, you put in this effort, but the only person who gets to enjoy that is a teacher. And this is a waste of one's energy, I would say. So it's useful to give your student a kind of a framework, who they are as a writer, what type of content they are writing, what's the purpose of that, who it is intended for, right? For instance, you're writing a post on a certain social media that shall not be named here, and you're to post it and to promote some product, and all of a sudden they have this imaginary framework, and it's easier to operate within those limits. Just make it easier to think, sometimes counter to popular belief. Number 4, speaking of 2024, right? We have AI, and it is a dreaded thing, because sometimes the students just ask it to write the whole essay for them, and that's it. but it can be used as a friend, not a foe. You can rely on it as a comparison vehicle where the student first attempts to do the writing task themselves, and then they see what is it that the AI did and compare who did best and so on. You can generate examples of various texts, and it's really a time saver. You can play around with styles where you produce the same kind of idea, the same text, but in different styles. So all of that can be really, really entertaining for both you and your students. And the last but not the least, challenges. Challenges can be very inspiring, and they help people stay on track. This is something I tried with my student. It's a 30-day writing challenge. The idea is very simple. You look up any random list of topics, and then you have your student write every single day. I set up a channel on Telegram, as you can see here, for that purpose, and it was very convenient to give feedback immediately. Other challenges might include free writing, where the journal in the morning, first thing in the morning. I personally am a huge advocate of this practice. You can encourage them to write comments on their favorite YouTube channels if they're an avid YouTube watcher, whatever. Okay, it can be anything. 100 observation list. It's a funny thing where you pick a very, very usual object, very mundane object, as such as, for example, a cup or your hand, and your task is to write 100 observations. That's a challenge. All right. So as a result, I loved the session on writing during the course so much that I thought I would put it into practice and share it with my colleagues, because I mentioned earlier, I consult and facilitate teaching other teachers processes, and this is what it looked like. This was our workshop with Focus Study, and just a little word: if you're looking for a community of like-minded teachers, if you're looking for guidance, you're welcome to check out our space. We're always happy to see new faces. So that's about it. Thank you so much for your attention. It was very, very exciting to talk to 97 people. Oh my God. Feel free to find me on the socials. The Focus Study website is also here, and ready for your questions if there are any.